Hey there, friends and foes. Good evening, multiverse. This is Cryptid Crunch presented by Back of the Cereal Box. And no, I am not Willow. I am your guest host, John Pica, the prophet of pop culture. You can call me Johnny Beyond, if you dare. And tonight, we are going to go beyond the Back of the Cereal Box, and we are going to take a deep dive into some cryptozoology as we talk about Bigfoot in pop culture. And we're going to do that right after this. All right, friends and foes. I am not Willow, and I am not Keisha. I am Johnny. Willow is at a convention, and Keisha is taking care of the family tonight. So I said I will step in. I will solo host the show, and so you're stuck with me. But we're going to have a lot of fun tonight because we're going to talk about Bigfoot in pop culture. Now, before we do that, we have to acknowledge the people who make this show possible, our Cereal Box Super Friends. They contribute at patreon.com/Cereal Box Podcast. You got Eli Cash, Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, Sharice Collins, Dave Mattingly, Valerie Davidson, Jeremy Bell, Angelina Vaquera Link, Dave Manginelli, Day One Comics, George Soroy, Larry Emmett, Elliot Latham, Robert Alsop, Clyde Hall, Chris Vaglio, and our brand new VIP, Dennis Pawsey. And if you want to support the show, you can do it at patreon.com/Cereal Box Podcast. Membership levels start at just $2, and anyone who is a member of our patron community can join us on screen tonight. There's a link on Patreon, my camera, your camera. It's like a call-in show, and you can share your thoughts. Now, you can also post comments in the chat, like some of our fans have done. Some of our audience are regulars, like Dan Holyfield says, "Hello, John." Hello, Dan. And Eli T. Cash says, "Walks in on fire. How you doing?" I'm doing great, Eli. And for those of you who don't know me, because you're used to seeing Willow and Keisha, I created Back of the Cereal Box, and then I created this spin-off show, Cryptid Crunch, because, Avengers comic books, Star Wars movies, and Saturday morning cartoons made me who I am today. But Sunday nights, when I was a kid, after the weekend festivities were over, we were sitting down as a family to watch the classic TV show hosted by Leonard Nimoy, In Search Of. And I remember watching the episode where they showed for the first time on network broadcast TV the Patterson Gimlin film of Bigfoot. And that started a lifelong obsession with me. And so we're going to talk about Bigfoot. We're going to talk about our theories, if we've had experiences. And I'm going to share with you why I am a firm believer in Bigfoot. And as I do so, you guys can comment. Now, we also need to share this warning that the following podcast may be disturbing to some diehard cryptid hunters. We're all here to have a good time, so sit back, have a drink, and let's learn together about myths, monsters, and legends. And we are brought to you by Dr. Malcolm's Body Bags. This is basically Mighty Men and Monster Makers in 3D with action figures. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I got to tell you, I am a hardcore firm believer in Bigfoot. And it's not just because of this film footage. I believe 100% that this is real that it is authentic. It's been analyzed by forensic video, um, videographers, video forensic investigators, and over again, they confirm that it's not a hoax. They can't say that, oh, yeah, that is Bigfoot, but they can say it's not a hoax. It's not a costume. And so that's pretty major. But here's why I am a believer. There's two reasons. One, the Bigfoot myth exists on every continent on the planet. Every culture has their own Bigfoot myth and goes back millennia. And anytime you have that consistency from culture to culture, continent to continent, somewhere there is truth. Those myths, those legends are based on truth. You don't get that consistency across cultures and continents unless there's truth. The other reason, besides my own experience, is that I have a brother who was a Navy SEAL. And he told me when I was young about a training exercise that they were doing at the base of Mount St. Helens in Washington. He was stationed in North Bremerton. They were doing some training exercises. He came around a bend and literally came face to chest with a Bigfoot. Now, here's a little known fact. The Navy has an official handbook about how to handle encounters, what to do, what not to do, how to report them. And as a Navy SEAL, he followed the protocol. He quickly turned around and got out of there and got to safety. He reported it. It is in an official Navy SEAL report. And if you know anything about Navy SEALs, their integrity is of the utmost priority. Because if a Navy SEAL lies, somebody dies. And if the Navy believes that Bigfoot is real enough to have a handbook how to deal with them, and that's not to mention that my brother has shared with me that after he left the SEALs, that his SEAL team was the SEAL team that went in and recovered the Sasquatch bodies after the eruption of Mount St. Helens. And then I've been out Sasquatch hunting myself. I've been out camping. I used to do survival camps. And just as recent as maybe 10 years ago, we were out in Long Hunter State Park. And I did some knocks. I did some calls. And I had a response. So now, what is Bigfoot? I believe Bigfoot is an undiscovered North American ape. Well, not North American, because it's all over the continent, but here in the US, it's an undiscovered species of ape that is maybe more advanced than the mountain gorillas. And we just have not captured a live specimen. And the reason we don't find carcasses is because I believe that Bigfoot bury their dead. Because we don't find gorilla carcasses either, unless they've been poached. So anyway, we got some comments here. The Serial Connection says, well, hello, Serial Connection. And Eli T. Cash says, I thought you were about to talk about the Bionic Man having a throwdown with Bigfoot starring Lou Ferrigno. Eli, that's a great segue. So I'm framing this all to say that I am a believer in Bigfoot. So as a believer, I have followed Bigfoot in pop culture for decades, since I was a kid. If there's a Bigfoot TV show, cartoon, or movie, I am into it. And I forgot to pull frames from Bigfoot and Wild Boy, the Sid and Marty Krofft series. But what Eli is referring to is not Lou Ferrigno. It is Lee Majors, the $6 million man, the Bionic Man, versus Bigfoot and that was actually Andre the Giant in that costume, in that makeup. And if you know anything about this, in this TV show, I think it was a 2 or 3 story arc. I know for sure two episodes. Um, Bigfoot was a robot. He was an animatronic android robot that was being used by aliens who had an underground base to survey, protect, um, and the Bionic Man comes in conflict. In this scene, he's about to rip off his arm and discover that he is a robot. Um, and by the end, Steve Austin and Bigfoot become allies. But this story propagated a theory among Bigfooters, among Squatchers, that Bigfoot is the guard dog of aliens with hidden bases. But all of that was proposed by this TV show. And for some reason, it caught on. So, Eli, it was not Lou Ferrigno. It was Andre the Giant. And there was another stunt person, I can't remember his name, but the Serial Connection says absolutely believe in the Bigfoot. Well, thank you. I do too. And by the way, anyone who is watching us on YouTube right now, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you would hop over to Facebook, on our Facebook page, back of the cereal box, just give us a thumbs up or heart or smiley face, some kind of emoji, and post a comment there, because we are part of the creators bonus program. And when you do that, it helps us out with a little bit of a spiff, and it helps keep us on the air. We love you watching on YouTube, but when you watch on Facebook and give us reactions, it helps us financially. So if you would do that, I appreciate it. Eli T. Cash says, you got to keep in mind that a lot of state parks have areas that are off limits. This is true. Lots of feds guard said areas, and the very fact SEALs believe in Bigfoot shouldn't be that surprising. No, it's not. It's not. And, a lot of people don't have that direct firsthand experience and knowledge that I do with my brother. So it doesn't come up as often as you would think. But when we're talking Bigfoot and pop culture, that Bigfoot, bionic Bigfoot from $6 Million Man was turned into an action figure. This is the 3 3/4 action figure from Ziga, but the prize, and today this is a huge prize, is it wasn't quite 12-inch. This one might have been 12-inch. I think Steve Austin was 10-inch, but this was the line from Kenner. And the Kenner Bionic Bigfoot is a holy grail collectible among toy collectors and among Bigfoot enthusiasts. But we can't talk about Bigfoot and pop culture without talking about Harry and the Hendersons. Harry and the Hendersons came out in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And it is a story about a family on vacation, and they're in the northern woods of Washington, near Mount St. Helens, and they hit a Bigfoot crossing the road. They think they've killed it, and rather than just leaving him out in the middle of the road, they strap him to the hood of the car, take him home. Well, it turns out they get home and he ain't dead. But they adopt Harry, and he becomes kind of a part of their family. And it really is a really great story because it paints Sasquatch as a gentle giant, intelligent, big-hearted, a real loving, gentle creature. And I truly believe that that is an accurate representation. And the reason I believe that is because when you look at video and film footage of gorillas who and some great apes, chimpanzees and bonobos are pretty aggressive, but gorillas, even silverback gorillas, are very gentle with people. And you can see they form a bond with their zookeepers or their handlers or the people who are doing research. They will allow people to become part of the troop and to live in and amongst them. And unless you violate the rule of the troop and challenge the alpha, the silverback, he will be perfectly accepting. You just honor their rules and traditions. And I really believe that Bigfoot is the same way, because yes, there are some discussions about Bigfoot attacks. They're so far and few and far between. Most sightings are of a retreating Bigfoot or a fleeting Bigfoot, a Bigfoot trying to remain hidden, not wanting to be seen or discovered. And that is not the sign of an aggressive creature. Let's see. Manny Macias says, gotcha. Yes. And Dan Hollyfield says, dropped a like on Facebook. Thank you. And Eli T. Cash says, Robin Williams and Fred Rogers are living proof that Bigfoot are gentle giants. That's funny. That's funny. But Harry and the Hendersons is a movie that I just absolutely adore. And I especially love the end credits where they do that whole aha, take on me homage with the end credits. It was so good. Such a great movie. John Lithgow is so funny. And just Donna Michi plays a Bigfoot researcher. It's just such a great, you know what? I probably watch it at least once a year. And now I'm in the mood to go watch it again tonight. Really, really fantastic movie. I especially love in that movie Harry's relationship with the dog, because we see that same kind of thing in zoos that have great apes, that there are dogs. The great apes, just like people, will adopt those dogs as pets. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, before we get too far afield, we're talking about monsters and talking about Bigfoot. We got to talk about Dr. Malcolm's body bags. Check this out, because they have taken Mighty Men and Monster Maker, the Tomy classic toy, and amped it up. Check this out. When I was a kid, the Mighty Men and Monster Makers was one of the coolest toys on the planet. Well, Body Bags takes that idea and ramps it up a notch by doing it in 3D. There are 4 different assortments that come in zippered body bags, and you can mix and match to create your own characters and abominations. Get yours today.
Body bags.
Eli T. Cash just lost his mind. Listen, I love that whole idea of Dr. Malcolm's body bags. I showed off. I found the Mighty Man Monster Maker a couple of weeks ago in the garage, and I showed it off. I love that. I played with that for hours, and to have the ability to bring that into 3D with the action figures, man, I'm all in. And so check them out. I've got the Kickstarter running in the banner below, but you can also check them out on. Oh, that's our Patreon. I'm sorry. You can check them out on Instagram, Dr. Malcolm's Body Bags. So check them out, and I'll leave that banner running for a little while. Uh, so if anyone wants to check out that project on Kickstarter, but Eli T. Cash has a comment about Bigfoot attacks. He says the attacks that were recorded on Nuke's top 5 are at best territorial. I doubt they are aggressive, but you wouldn't want to mess around with their land, let alone mess with them and end up being on a Jack Links commercial. Oh, I even forgot about the Jack Links commercials messing with Sasquatch. That's another example of Sasquatch in pop culture. And but you're right, Eli. It is territorial. You know, bears are not aggressive unless they are threatened or provoked, and coming into their territory and violating their territory is a sign of aggression. And gorillas and great apes are the same way. They are territorial creatures. They will defend their territory, and as long as you respect their culture, they're not going to be aggressive. And I think Bigfoot are the same way. I really do. And Eli T. Cash adds, if I lose my mind, I'll only end up being boring. True story. So as I go through some of these examples of Bigfoot in pop culture, I would love for you to comment in the chat and let me know if you've had an encounter and what kind of encounter it is. And if you're a member of our Patreon community, you can actually come on air with me. You can share your camera and kind of like a call-in show and join us. Now, there have been some pretty silly representations of Bigfoot, like this Bigfoot from the Goofy movie, the Disney classic starring Goofy and his son Max. Just last year, there was a movie called The Bigfoot Family, I think it was. And it was an animated cartoon about a family, but the father, the patriarch, is a Bigfoot. And so the son and the daughter are part Bigfoot, and it's kind of silly and whatnot. But here's the one I got to see, you guys. I got to see Bigfoot or Bust. It is the best Bigfoot movie ever made. Yeah, it's one team of supermodels hunting Bigfoot competing against another team of supermodels hunting Bigfoot. And I know it's completely politically correct and might get me canceled, but this is all I want to see right now. Now, on Amazon, on Prime, there is this movie starring Danny Bonaducci. You remember from the Partridge Family, Barry Williams from the Brady Bunch. Sherilyn Fenn plays the sheriff in the town. Sherilyn Fenn was the bombshell on Twin Peaks. And there's an appearance by Alice Cooper. But this Bigfoot is kind of like a King Kong sized Bigfoot. And not only is he aggressive, he's downright evil. He comes in, eats people, picks them up. It's actually a pretty horrible movie, but it's so bad that it's fantastic. And Danny Bonaducci is great in this. He plays a complete douchebag concert promoter who is determined to produce this big concert that Alice Cooper is, performing at, despite the fact that Bigfoot just days earlier, destroyed ate his crew and it's crazy. You got to check it out. And then I discovered this doing this research, Bigfoot Wars. with C. Thomas Howell, Judd Nelson, Holt Boggs. I don't know anything about this, but I'm willing to bet that it's a lot like the Toho movie War of the Gargantuas. I gotta assume that there's good Bigfoot and bad Bigfoot, and they're fighting over territory. It's crazy. I want to see it. And there's all look. I didn't even post this graphic, but I did a review of the movie starring Sam Elliott that came out maybe 5 years ago. The Man Who Killed Hitler, and then the Bigfoot. Listen, it's actually a pretty fascinating movie. It's not the action-packed movie that the trailers make you think it is. It's more of a psychological slice of life, a memoir of this war veteran assassin. And the version of Bigfoot is a diseased, viral, infected Bigfoot. He is patient zero, and they have to kill him to stop this virus. It's not great, but it's worth watching. Because Sam Elliott is really pretty fantastic in it. We got some more comments here. Eli T. Cash says, for the sake of memes and trends, bears and Sasquatch are bros. And Eli T. Cash says, Bigfoot or bust, definitely an Oscar-worthy flick. I think so. Yeah, I think so. And Bigfoot, a sci-fi original movie, if ever I saw one, or Bigfoot or bust, or Bigfoot Wars. Look, they're all, shoestring budget movies. So Bigfoot with Danny Bonaducci and Barry Williams. Yes, it's Jaws, but with Bigfoot. That's exactly what it is. Let's talk about Bat Squatch. I don't know about Bat Squatch, Eli. This is a reference I missed. So while you're putting together some thoughts, let me talk about some cool board games. Dating all the way back to the early 80s, Milton Bradley published a Bigfoot giant snow monster game. I did not know this existed until this week, which is a surprise because as a kid, I grew up playing board games. Board games were like a regular thing on Sunday night. We would watch In Search Of, we would watch The Muppet Show, we would watch, Jacques Cousteau's Ocean Adventures. We would watch Mutual of Omaha's Animal Kingdom. And then we would, sit down, we would play Uno or Monopoly, Sorry, other board games. And I'm surprised I didn't know that this existed until this week. But I'll tell you what I did know existed. Camping with Sasquatch. This is a brand new game. It's still in Kickstarter phase. But if you go to Kickstarter, it's got the Rising Star Innovator Award from Kickstarter. And it's by Big Discoveries Games. This looks like a lot of fun. Now, I told you that, let's see what this is. Oh, comic books. So I have a copy of this, Granite State Bigfoot, and this is a graphic recreation or reinterpretation of a Bigfoot hunter's real life encounter and story. Very cool. But this one from IDW is horrible because in this one, Bigfoot is a vicious monster. He kidnaps women. He, mauls people. He is a monster. And then this one I don't know about yet, but I found it in my research. Season's Greetings from Bigfoot. And apparently this comic series paints Bigfoot as kind of a warlord, sword-wielding hero, kind of a Conan the Barbarian. But if we're talking comics, which I love comic books, the comic book that we have to talk about is the comic book with Sasquatch as a main character, Alpha Flight. The orange character that you see is Dr. Walter Langowski, who inadvertently summoned the beast Tamarok, who, he transforms into this Sasquatch beast. And it's based on the Canadian legends of Sasquatch. And they believe that Sasquatch was a manifestation, an avatar of the great beast Tamarok. And here's another picture of him, close up picture. And he was so popular. He was the face for Marvel Comics subscriptions. So a lot of pop culture content for you guys to check out. Now, let's see. Eli T. Cash says Bat Squatch is apparently a demonic variant of Bigfoot, but with bat-like wings you'd see like on the Jersey Devil. It's probably not real, but what is? And Eli says Sasquatch, the Cimmerian. Sorry about that. Yeah, kind of a Conan Sasquatch. I mean, that's kind of cool, isn't it? Conan, Abominable Snowman. For those of you who are just listening, you can't see the pictures that I'm throwing up. I'm not putting up. Use the wrong term there. But you can go back and watch the replay on video on Facebook or YouTube and see the images that I'm talking about. So, as much of a believer as I am, I will also debunk Sasquatch sightings or videos or photos. And here's one I'm not too sure about. This is a recent photo that has been making the rounds. It looks very compelling. But the problem I have with it is that this Sasquatch is standing a little too upright, too much like a human person in a costume. And look, I scour photos and videos of Sasquatch, hundreds every week, because I am really obsessed with this. And on the social media groups, I'm debunking more than I'm, getting excited about. I will debunk a Sasquatch sighting in a heartbeat if I think it is fake. And there are people out there who are faking it. But when there's one that's real, holy cow. Now, I'm not going to show it because I don't want to get flagged for copyright. But a couple of months ago, I guess about almost a year ago now. Yeah, it was a year ago. There was a video that came out of Louisiana where you saw a Bigfoot in I think it was a sweet gum tree, scraping the insides out. And you see it putting it, whatever it's scraping out to its mouth. And then you see it stand up. And oh my God, I about lost my ever loving mind. So I believe that Sasquatch is out there. I believe Bigfoot is out there. And I want to know what you think, though. And while you guys are posting your comments, if you've not seen our Saturday morning show, Back of the Cereal Box, we do a segment every morning, What's in the Bowl? And we're called Back of the Cereal Box because when I was a kid, we didn't have iPhones or tablets at the breakfast table on Saturday morning. We were reading the Back of the Cereal Box. But we do a thing called What's in the Bowl? Well, here on Cryptid Crunch, we're hanging out in the virtual treehouse. And when you go up in your treehouse, you got to take snacks. So, and since we're talking about cryptids, this is the perfect snack to show off for Cryptid Crunch. The elusive, the mysterious, the yet to be discovered Sour Patch Kids Oreos. Let's do a taste test, shall we? These are vanilla Oreos, but with the cream filling with specks of Sour Patch Kids candies. If ever there was a cryptid snack, This is it. So we're going to break this open. Here it is, the vanilla cream. And actually, I think there's actually in the cookie. You can see flecks of the candy. You can see the flecks in the cream. So, okay. I was not expecting that. It is very sweet, very fruity, but not really sour. A little bit of a sour taste, but not like an unpleasant. That's not bad, actually. I don't know if I want fruit flavor in my Oreos, but this would be great for a movie night. Especially kids will go crazy over this. But if you've ever watched Back of the Cereal Box, you know we always have to ask a question when we try something like this. You know what I'm getting to, Eli? Will it cereal? Will it work as cereal in the bowl? And so that's what we're going to test out right now on Cryptid Crunch. This is a cryptid investigation happening live in front of you. We're just going to take 2 or 3. We're going to crunch them up, put them in the bowl. Vanilla, the Sour Patch Kids, cream filling and all. That's enough to get a good sampling. And I've got my milk, because to be cereal, it's got to go in milk. Now, here is a research question for our cryptid investigators. Is cereal soup? All right, so I've got it in the bowl with the milk. We're going to let it penetrate just a minute. And scientific research, my pain for your pleasure. Here we go. Oh, wow. That is phenomenal. Because as cereal, it kind of tastes like Fruity Pebbles and Oreos vanilla cream cookies combined. And the milk completely neutralizes the sour taste. Oh, wow. This is great. Mm-hmm. Will Oreos, Sour Patch Kids cookies, cereal? Heck yes. These are amazing. Wow. Post cereals get together with Oreo and Sour Patch Kids. Let's get that in a box. Holy, that is phenomenal. Let's see what the cereal milk tastes like. And yes, I'm using a sippy straw. There's no after flavor. That's pretty good. That's really good. Wow. Who would have thought? Oreo Sour Patch Kids cookies. What a great cereal. How's that for a Cryptid Crunch investigation? The question you might ask after that is it crunchy? Well, it started crunchy, but it got soggy pretty quick. So I had to finish it pretty quick. But man, was that good. So, guys and gals, that's kind of my overview of some Bigfoot and pop culture. I did forget the Jack Link's messing with Sasquatch commercials. Those are great commercials. And I did forget to pull an image of Bigfoot and Wild Boy. Bigfoot and Wild Boy was a Sid and Marty Krofft Saturday morning live action show. It was part of the Krofft Super Show. And it was about this kid who is orphaned and is adopted by Bigfoot. And they become partners, and they actually fight crime and thwart evil in the Northwest United States. It, as a kid, I loved it. I still love it, but man, the special effects were not good. It does not hold up. But the kid in me remembers it exceptionally well and with a lot of fondness. Okay, so Dan Holyfield says, I won't say that cryptids in general are impossible, yet extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. For Bigfoot, the evidence is slowly mounting. It is. And here's the thing, Dan, there is a lot of evidence. There is a lot of evidence. But the problem is that for believers, no evidence is required. And for skeptics, no evidence will ever be enough. You could produce a body. You could produce a Bigfoot in chains, live, caged, and the skeptics would deny it's being real. They would say it's being faked, it's not real, that's manufactured by Hollywood special effects. And that's the problem that we get into in the cryptid community. And that's really why I will debunk sightings and videos and stories. Like, I don't believe in the Mothman. The Mothman is so territorial. There are no other references in culture to that kind of creature, and it happens in such a specific time frame in that history of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And what I believe people saw was a harpy eagle. Now, people who support the existence of Mothman will say, well, harpy eagles aren't native to West Virginia. No, they're not. But that doesn't mean that's not what it is. People get animals, exotic animals, as pets all the time, and they either get loose or they are released. And I am willing to bet that harpy eagle was part of a zoo or part of a private estate and got loose. And that's what people saw in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I'm almost positive of it. I'm positive of it. And if you Google harpy eagle and you put it side by side with what people described Mothman as being, it's clear. It's clear as the nose on my face that is what they are seeing. I believe in chupacabra, but I don't think it's a cryptid anymore. I think we know exactly what chupacabra is. It's a coyote with mange or a wolf with mange. And I think we've adequately identified what the chupacabra is. And then there are some cryptids like Mothman that are pure fantasy, like the sheep squatch, which is one of my favorites, actually. Basically, take a ram and create a ram Sasquatch Bigfoot hybrid, and that's the sheep squatch, or also known as the Ozark howler. It's only found, again, in a small region of Arkansas, and only one family has ever claimed to have any sightings. And as much as I would love the Ozark howler to be real, I don't think it is. Now, is it possible? Is it possible that it's a Sasquatch in that area of Arkansas? Yes. Is it possible it's an albino Sasquatch? Absolutely. But is it a Sasquatch ram hybrid? No. Because scientifically, DNA can't be done. You can only make hybrids of animals and species that are closely related with DNA. For example, you can't mate wolves or coyotes with foxes or foxes with dogs. Their DNA is not compatible, even though the fox is a part of the canine genus. Same thing with otters. Otters and seals are canines, but otters can't be bred with dogs, and seals can't be bred with otters. They're just not DNA compatible. So the sheep squatch, eh. Mothman, harpy eagle. Um, what about the Jersey Devil? That could be something. That could be something. Um, I am a firm believer in demonic activity, demons, and um, everything that is described, by people describing the Jersey Devil. It makes me think that's demonic. Goat Man, maybe. And here's why. Goat Man is a satyr, half man, half goat. And again, satyrs exist in cultural mythology across multiple continents. Europe, uh, parts of Asia, um, here in the United States, in the Greek Isles, Italy. Satyrs, the myth of satyrs permeates, and not just oral tradition, in the literature, the architecture. And again, when something is that prominent in pop culture, in the culture of the day, there's got to be truth to it. Truth. Um, Eli T. Cash says the Mothman is a concern for the BPRD, the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Development. And Eli asks, but is it impossible? Let's ask Dr. Thaddeus Foot, Bigfoot MD. Eli T. Cash says the Goat Man of Kentucky, and he wonders if Kentucky's Goat Man is connected to Gallatin's goblins. No. However, well, let me take that back. Satyrs are considered fae folk. Do we believe that fae, fairies, goblins, brownies, do we believe that they are real? Fairies? Possibly. Because again, the cultural, I don't want to say intrusion, but the cultural insertion of fae folk in every culture, it's too strong to ignore. So could it be? Could be. Anyway, what do you guys think? Dan, I know you think that there needs to be more evidence. Would a body convince you? Dan Holyfield. If they found a Bigfoot body, would you be convinced? If they hauled one in a cage, confined, would you be convinced? I think that we will have like real physical evidence sooner than later. And look, and there is physical evidence. There's hair samples, there's DNA samples from scato, scatological material. There is blood samples of, and when labs come back after analyzing it, they are inconclusive. They say this is not a wolf or coyote, a deer or an elk. This is an unknown species. And many labs have admitted that it resembles ape. The DNA markers match up with apes. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And of course, there's the footprints, the physical evidence left behind. I don't think you can deny that. Are there some people faking it? Yes. But you can tell the fakes real quick. But when they're real, maybe the most compelling piece of evidence I've ever seen in real time was Josh Gates. Josh Gates had a show called Destination Truth, and they went out in a Bigfoot hotspot. They did not capture one on camera, but they captured the sound. Josh Gates crossed a creek bed, and as he got on the other side, he heard a snap, and he turned and he saw leaves rustling, and he crossed back over the creek, and in the creek, he had just been in that spot. In the creek bed was a pronounced footprint with the heel depression, the arch. It was all um the right physical markers for being real. Um and So Dan Hollyfield says yes, but I would also be convinced by DNA samples that turn out to be related to arthropods or proto-human. With that, we have that. We have that. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of DNA samples. Mitchell Gianola says, I don't think with all of the game cameras out there, don't you think with all of the game cameras out there, someone would have gotten a good picture? Yes, and they have. There are some amazing game camera pictures out there. Some amazing ones. I wish I had some of them loaded. Some of the JPEGs didn't load to my cart here in the studio, but I've seen some game camera pictures that will chill you to the bone. Listen, I've seen pictures of a Sasquatch looking in a window taken by someone inside the house, and it is so compelling. And look, I come from a theater background, so I know about makeup and costuming. I can spot a fake a mile away. And if it fools me, and I don't want to say it fools me, but if it convinces me, I'm going to go with it. So Eli T. Cash says, didn't you flirt around with the lady from Finding Bigfoot? Yes, I did. Renee. I got to meet her at CryptidCon a couple of years ago, and she is a skeptic, or at least on the show she was. She kind of agrees with me that there's so much evidence out there, and there's so much cultural evidence that it's hard to deny the existence of something, some kind of hominid. And when I said, do you think it's an undiscovered species of ape? She wouldn't say yes or no, but she kind of smiled. I think she agrees with me. And look, the mountain gorillas were considered myths and legends until they weren't. And look, they were discovered for real in 1929. The first expedition to start cataloging them didn't happen until 1932. And it took from 1932 until 1978 to have a definitive cataloged genus. I mean, and the Patterson-Gimlin film that I referenced is the first piece of hard video footage, camera footage that was captured. And this was captured in, when was it? 72, I think. I want to say 1972. I'm going to look that up while we're on the air. And let's see. Gimlin film. Also known as the Bigfoot. Oh, no, it was 67. Even earlier, 1967. And it was shot in Northern California, which is a Bigfoot hotspot. And look, I know some of you are going to say, well, one of the guys came forward and said he was in the suit. he's turned out to be a liar. He's since passed away. So I hate to disrespect the dead, but he was trying to get a payday because the 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 place that he said they got the suit from said, we don't have anything that looks that good. And that was a Hollywood costume prop company. And under, in multiple interviews, the costumer said it would take so much effort, so much technology that they did not have in 67 to create a suit that showed muscles in the legs and the calves. You can see a trapezius muscle. And why in the world would they put breasts on a big, why would they think to do that? This is clearly a female Bigfoot, and that's why they call her Patty. And it's come out that the guy who said it was a hoax and that he was in the suit, he was trying to get paid. He was not credible. He was always, trying to sell stories to make money. So, and Patterson and Gimlin, they didn't make a dime. They didn't make a dime off of that story. So you always follow the money and you look at who benefits from the stories. And Dan Hollyfield says, I remembered it being around 68, but that may have been just the first time I ran across articles about the film. I would have been 10 in 67. See, I didn't see it until I saw it on In Search Of. And from what I remember from the stories, that TV show was the first network TV show to actually show it. Yeah, and Patterson died of cancer in 72 before I was even born. So they never made a dime off of it. And here's my thing, follow the money. And whoever stands to benefit from the story they're telling financially is probably not telling the truth. So, anyway, that is, that's our hour, folks. Hard to believe it went by that fast. Eli T. Cash says, cancer or government cover-up. It was cancer. But I can't figure out why the government does cover this up. There's definitely a conspiracy. I don't know why. I don't know why they kept the SEAL team extraction from Mount St. Helens a secret. I don't get it. And Dan Hollyfield says, I ran across an article in Reader's Digest about the film as a child. Okay. Man, I loved Reader's Digest when I was a kid. Still do when I can find them. Well, guys and gals, that is our show for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed spending some time with me. Continue to comment, continue to ask questions, continue to share, to like. And we have a charity partner with the Cereal Box Network. I just want to share this, something you can support. Check it out.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
That is awesome. And if you like our show and you want to become a part of the family, a part of our Cereal Box Super Friends, you can do that at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. $2 a month, less than the cost of a cup of coffee at McDonald's, gets you all kinds of exclusive access as a Patreon. Early episodes, you get to come on camera with me. VIP members get to host their own podcasts, and we'll have the very first VIP Weeknight Bites podcast this Wednesday night with our VIP Patreon member, Dennis Posey. So he'll be hosting. He wants to talk about Reboot and Golden Grams. So we're going to do that. And if you want to host your own show, become a VIP member at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. Well, that is it for our show tonight. Thank you, everyone who was hanging out with me in the virtual treehouse. And until the next time, tell 300 of your closest friends and family to come share the fun. Love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box. I'm Johnny. I'm done. Ta-da!
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi's